The Quiet Curtain Call. If you were alive on the morning of November 24, 1991, you might remember the silence. Not the kind that comforts, but the kind that aches. It was as though London itself had stopped breathing. Even the wind in Kensington seemed to move slower that day. News had just broken. Freddie Mercury, the incomparable voice of Queen, was gone. For years, he had been the heartbeat of every anthem that made us feel invincible. He was the man who could make a crowd of 100,000 believe they were one voice. His music wasn't just heard, it was felt. He laughed louder, lived brighter, and loved harder than most ever dared. But on that cold November morning, the echo of his voice fell still, and the world suddenly felt smaller, quieter, and heartbreakingly incomplete. 3 days later, on a pale and brittle November 27th, the final act of this remarkable life began. There were no roaring fans, no final encore beneath the floodlights of Wembley. Instead, behind closed doors and drawn curtains at the West London crematorium, a small circle of those who truly knew him gathered in reverent silence. There were no cameras, no press, no thunder of applause, just love, stillness, and farewell. The man who had once lived under the world's brightest lights chose the shadows for his goodbye. He had rehearsed this ending in secret. In keeping with his Zoroastrian faith, his body was committed to the flames, and when the ceremony ended, one sacred task was entrusted to the woman who had once held his heart, Mary Austin. She alone would carry his ashes, and with them, his final secret. In that single, silent moment, the paradox of Freddie's life was complete. The man who gave his soul to the world had in death finally taken it back. To understand that choice, to truly feel the meaning of it, we must step away from the stage, away from the legend, and into the private sanctuary where Farrokh Bulsara, the man behind Freddie Mercury, spent his final days.
Time waits for nobody.
No, the most important thing to me is to be happy, to be honest, to have fun.
Time waits for nobody.
The Sanctuary of Garden Lodge. To the world, Freddie Mercury was a comet, a streak of light across the night sky. But behind the gates of Garden Lodge, his home in Kensington, lived a man who longed for quiet. Inside those ivy-covered walls, the noise of fame faded, replaced by the hum of life's simplest comforts. Here, silk robes were traded for soft slippers, grand concerts for gentle piano melodies, crowds of millions for the company of his cats and closest friends. Garden Lodge became his refuge, a fortress of peace against the chaos of the outside world. Within its walls lived the people who made up his truest family: Mary Austin, Peter Freestone, Joe Finelli, and Jim Hutton. They shared laughter, meals, quiet evenings, and unspoken loyalty. When Freddie's health began to fail, their devotion only deepened. There was no talk of illness, no pity, no fear, only care and quiet understanding. Within that home, he was not Freddie Mercury, the superstar, but Farrokh, a man who still found joy in small moments, feeding his cats, sketching ideas, or listening to opera as sunlight streamed through stained glass. It was a world far removed from Wembley, A world built not on fame, but on trust.
I'm just me, I'm just me. I'm very disorganized at times, I'm organized at times, and I'm just me.
To live forever.
The masterpiece of secrecy. As the 1980s drew to a close, the energy that once electrified the stage began to fade. Yet Freddie remained in control of his image, his music, and his story. Public appearances became rare. Rumors grew, but he said nothing. In his final music videos, such as "These Are the Days of Our Lives," he stood in soft light. His face pale, but his eyes, those brilliant, defiant eyes, still full of life. With every note, he seemed to whisper to the world, "I'm still here." He refused to be defined by illness or pity. His greatest fear was that his final moments would become public property, consumed by tabloids. And so he did what he had always done best. He took control. He built around Garden Lodge a wall of silence, turning it into a private fortress. He performed until the very end, ensuring that the last image the world would remember was not of decline, but of strength. Freddie's final masterpiece was not an album or a concert. It was his silence, his ability to control even death's final narrative. It was the performance no one would ever see, and yet it remains his most powerful.
There's no time for us.
I don't regret any of the things I did. It's just that I laugh.
There's no place for us.
The Quiet Resolution. On the morning of November 27th, 1991, the curtain fell for the last time. Freddie Mercury slipped away not to applause, but to silence. A silence he had chosen. His funeral was small, solemn, and deeply private. No headlines, no spectacle, only reverence. It was a service not for the star, but for the man, Farrokh Bulsara. When the final prayers were whispered, Mary Austin carried out the duty he had entrusted to her. His ashes were placed in secrecy, their resting place known only to her. It was the last promise he ever made, and the last one she would ever keep. In that moment, everything came full circle. The man who had once lived in the light of the entire world disappeared into peace. His silence was not loss, it was victory. Echoes behind the silence. We remember Freddie Mercury for the roar, for the operatic crescendos, the impossible range, the fire that no one could match. But the quiet finale reveals something far more profound. Behind the legend was a man who sought dignity above all else. In one rare interview, Mary Austin recalled that Freddie died with a soft smile. She said he faced death with astonishing grace. In his final weeks, he made the decision to stop his medication, saying simply, "It's time to let nature take its course." Mary has guarded his secret ever since. She has said she will never reveal where his ashes lie, and that this promise, his final wish, remains sacred. Years later, as she parted with many of his belongings in a vast Sotheby's auction, she admitted it was like saying goodbye all over again. Yet she kept the things that mattered most: personal gifts, handwritten notes, symbols of a love that never truly ended. His assistant, Peter Freestone, once described the final days at Garden Lodge as peaceful. He said he was weak, but his spirit filled the whole house. Even near the end, Freddie laughed, joked, and listened to music. The stage had grown small, but the light had not gone out. In their voices, in the memories of those who truly knew him, we find the real Freddie Mercury, defiant, loving, and unbroken. The final encore, reflection and truth. Freddie Mercury's life was an opera, brilliant, emotional, and unforgettable. But his final act was his most human, the quiet choice to leave this world on his own terms. He lived with passion, he loved with honesty, and in the end, he proved that even silence can roar. His story isn't just about fame, it's about the courage to be authentic. He taught us that dignity is not found in applause, but in truth. His final curtain call wasn't a farewell, it was a statement, a whisper that still echoes. I decide when the music ends. Freddie Mercury lived as a legend. He died as himself. And in that choice, he left the world his greatest gift. A reminder that even in the quietest goodbye, the heart can still sing. What do you think, my dear friends? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching my videos and supporting my channel. Your love and encouragement mean more to me than words can express. Every comment, like, and share brings me so much joy. I truly enjoy reading your thoughts and feeling your presence every time I post something new. If you'd like to support my channel even further, I warmly invite you to consider sending a super thanks through YouTube. Every bit of support helps my channel grow within the community, and it truly makes a difference. A special shout out and heartfelt thank you to all the amazing people who've joined my channel's membership and those who send super thanks whenever I upload a video. Your generosity and kindness never go unnoticed. It's what keeps me inspired to create more for you. May the love and presence of our Creator be with you always, to bless you, to heal you, and to watch over your families. This is Halbin saying shalom and